It's about that time of year where you can get excited for the next FIFA game. While career mode probably won't change too much, one thing we know will change is the roster of clubs that are going to be on the game. Today we're going to be talking about a bunch of teams that will be added to the next FIFA game, provided every single league on the game stays as they are. Most of these are going to be teams promoted from leagues that are currently on FIFA. For example, it could be teams that are in the French National League, the German Regional Leagues, or the English 5th Division, coming up to the divisions that are on FIFA. Obviously, none of these teams are on FIFA 22 at the minute, so what I've done is I've created them and created a club, so if you want to play with any of these teams early, feel free to copy what I put on the screen. So first of all, let's talk about two teams that get promoted from the English National League into the English League 2. It was Stockport County and Grimsby Town this year that got promoted. Both of these teams have been on FIFA in the past. With Grimsby only going down last year, they were on FIFA 21, and Stockport were the worst rated team in England on FIFA 11. As much as anyone who knows my channel will know that I do really like Grimsby Town, I do think that Stockport County are probably actually a more interesting team. There are already a bunch of teams that are very similar to how Grimsby are going to be, low rated players, not a lot of money, and not that interesting of a backstory on the game already. But while Stockport County aren't maybe as interesting as someone like Wrexham, I do think that Stockport County are the more interesting team. They were bought by a businessman in January 2020, and he cleared all the debts and aimed for promotion, something he did actually manage to do. If you're going with Stockport, the goal is of course to create a sustainable club in League 2. With any team outside of the Premier League, of course the goal is going to be to try and get promoted, but you'll need at least 1, maybe 2 seasons of rebuilding a team when you're starting as either Stockport or Grimsby. Both of the squads are going to be very, very weak and not particularly well funded. Someone like Wrexham, like I mentioned, probably would come through with a Salford-like budget, but instead we got these two teams that are probably a lot less funded. You should be trying to focus on signings who are going to play well in the first season and not really looking for potential straight away. I think both of these teams would be a fun career mode, especially if you're interested in building a brand new League 2 squad up, but I think you're probably not going to find a game-changing team getting promoted or added in England this year. We started with England because it's one of the most popular league pyramids to use on FIFA, but now we're going to head over to the league I enjoyed playing the most in FIFA 22. That's the Spanish 2nd Division. If you know anything about the Segunda Division, or you watched the video I made last year, I said some potential teams that could get onto FIFA 22, and one of them has actually managed to do it and get promoted, so they will actually be on FIFA 23. I can already tell you it's going to be one of the most popular career modes both on YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, however you take in career mode content, everyone is going to be doing an Andorra career mode. That's right, the really bad national team that you see teams like England and Germany destroy 7-0 now has a 2nd division team in a major country. It features a lot of Andorran-based players, so to try and summarise how Andorra got into this position, we need to have a look at the owner. They're owned by Gerard Piqué, who in trying to strengthen the appeal of Catalan independence, decided it would be good to set a precedent of there being a non-Spanish club playing in the Spanish Football League. With Andorra being based in Andorra, of course, not in Spain, this means that if Catalonia ever did get independence, Barcelona could point at the example Andorra have set and possibly be allowed to stay in the Spanish Football League system, because Catalonia would be an independent country from Spain. It's a very interesting situation, and I do recommend you look into using FC Andorra in your first FIFA 23 save, but it might be better if you're on PC, where you can actually use Cheat Engine to make sure you can do youth scouting in Andorra. With dynamic potential of course being in FIFA, and I assume it will be in FIFA 23 as well, you will have a good challenge if you're on console to try and get some of the beginner Andorran players back up to a top division level when they might start out with low 60s for potential. It wasn't only Andorra that will be an interesting team added to the Spanish league system though. You've also got former La Liga regulars Racing Santander, and they will reappear on FIFA 23. They managed to get promoted, fighting off the likes of Deportivo La Coruña, another former La Liga regular, to get the top spot, and actually managed to beat Andorra to officially be crowned the 3rd Division champions in Spain. Santander played in Europe as recently as 2009, where they managed to get out of a Europa League group that featured PSG, Manchester City, Schalke and FC Twente, who were the Holland champions at the time. Despite them not being at the peaks of their powers back then, they were still 3 formidable teams and shows the strength that Racing Santander used to have. In fact, they were one of the 10 founding clubs of La Liga, so bringing Racing Santander back to the top division would be a really good first save in my opinion. With the current lack of really big money teams in the second division of Spain, you're going to have to mainly focus on youth academy and trying to get Racing Santander back up by getting young players with lots of potential into the first team as soon as you can. It wasn't just Racing Santander and Andorra that got added to the new game. You'll also have Albacete returning and Villarreal's second team being on the game for the first time. However, I don't think either of these teams will really stand out compared to the existing ones. So if you're interested in using a new team, make sure you head over to Wikipedia, have a read of Santander and Andorra's history, and make sure you pick one of those two. The other and last league we'll look at in this video is going to be the United States. With them having yet another confirmed expansion in 2023, not too much is actually known about this year's club. But St. Louis will definitely be on FIFA 23, just like the existing expansion teams were this year. There are actually one or two interesting little things about St. Louis Soccer Club ahead of their debut that I think you should know about. The first is some of the players they've already agreed to sign. You'll definitely know Roman Bürki, of course, from playing at Borussia Dortmund, but you'll probably also know Hoffenheim's former striker Klaus and Swedish defender Joachim Nilsson, both of who have also agreed to join the new MLS club. But in my opinion, the most interesting thing about this new MLS side is their sporting director. Back in the late 80s, Lutz Pfannenstiel was a really hyped young goalkeeper. In fact, Bayern Munich actually tried to sign him when he was just 20 years old. He turned them down and moved to Wimbledon in the United Kingdom instead, and then he moved on to play for the likes of Nottingham Forest, Orlando Pirates in South Africa, Huddersfield Town, Bradford Park Avenue, Vancouver Whitecaps, and a bunch of other teams around the world. In fact, he's actually the only footballer who's ever played professionally in each of the 6 recognised continental associations. This is the likes of UEFA, Africa, Asia, both Americas and Oceania, and he even became the manager of Antarctica 11 in 2009. This guy had a really crazy career, and one of the things I find so interesting about this new MLS club is the way that they're signing players. The club have gone and aimed for Eastern Europe to be one of their target player demographics. You can see this in the likes of Bürki, but they also have a Bosnian player they've signed from Sarajevo and a Czech player who's also going to be joining them next year. It's an interesting way of recruiting because I think there is a lot of untapped potential and you don't really see too many players from Eastern Europe heading over to the MLS. I think it would be super cool, especially if EA does manage to add one of these leagues to the FIFA 23, maybe something like the Serbian First Division or the Slovenian, something like that. There are some good teams in Eastern Europe. If they do, then this makes the save even better. But I do think if you're going for an MLS save, St. Louis really could be one of the best options. Let me know who you're most excited to see in FIFA 23 in the comments below. And of course, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any career mode content from FIFA 22, FIFA 23, or any game beyond that. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to share the video if you know a fan of any of these teams and you want them to comment more information on this, especially if you know someone from Stockport or Andorra, you think they'd like the video, feel free to let them know, because I know everyone would love to hear more about these teams in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon for another video. Thank you and goodbye.